Do you have a chronically stiff lower back? Do you experience pain, or does it take you a while to straighten all the way back up when getting up out of a chair? Well, if so, this is the video for you, because we're about to go over 3 simple strategies to decrease the harmful effects of long-term sitting. Let's get into this. Long-term sitting can cause a whole host of problems inside of the body, but in this video we're focusing on just 3 things, and those are discompression, muscle stiffness, and postural dysfunction due to a reduction or loss of the normal secondary curves in the spine, which is what happens when you're slouched over your laptop. Strategy number 1 is to take super short stretching breaks periodically throughout your day. In this 2014 study published in Physical Medicine and Rehabilitation, researchers found that just a 20-second stretching routine performed at regular intervals throughout the day was enough to completely eliminate the discompression in the lower backs of people working sedentary desk jobs. The short stretching routine that these researchers were using consisted of a 5-second hold in each of the following positions. First, they had the subjects forward bend for 5 seconds. Then they had them backward bend for 5 seconds. Then they had them bend to the right for 5 seconds, and finally bend to the left for 5 seconds. The people in this study were instructed to get up out of their chairs and perform this super short routine every 15 minutes throughout their 4-hour workday. Now, to be clear here, we're talking about 5 minutes of total work, and the end result of this was no loss in disc height throughout their workday, confirmed using before and after MRIs. Strategy number 2 is to increase muscular activity while you're sitting. In this study published in 2021, researchers took a small group of people and they hooked them up to electrical muscle stimulation and used a small device to create active contractions in the muscles here along the lumbar spine while they were sitting. And what they found was that at the end of a 4.5-hour workday, there was nearly an 11% reduction in muscle stiffness in the group that was having their muscles actively contracted versus the group that was just sitting there. And even though these researchers produced some pretty impressive results using just a small electrical muscle stim unit like the one that I'm holding here, I'm not about to recommend that you all go out and purchase one of these and hook yourselves up to it while you're sitting, because I think that there's a way better way to increase muscular activity throughout your workday. And to these researchers' credit, they actually point this out in the paper when they state that modern-day hunter-gatherers like the Hadza suffer from none of the musculoskeletal problems that we have in industrialized society, despite the fact that they spend roughly the same amount of hours each day, about 10 hours a day, in resting positions. The difference is that their resting positions are active and ours are passive. Active means their muscles are engaged when they're in a kneeling position or a squatting position, and our positions are disengaged when we're using back rests and neck rests and arm rests and head rests and all these things. And so the solution here, I believe, is much more low tech than this, and it's to switch to a more active form of sitting. Let me show you what that looks like. There are a lot of different ways that you can increase muscular activity while you're sitting. One low tech option is simply to sit on the floor. In an unsupported position, sitting on a firm surface like this, your muscles are forced to do quite a bit of work just to hold you up. Yet another option is to go into a kneeling position on the floor, provided that you have some padding underneath your knees and a desk at the appropriate height. Unfortunately, lots of people in Western society are going to be limited with these 2 options due to a lack of mobility and/or difficulty getting down and up off the floor. Another option made popular by the TV show The Office is to sit on an exercise ball while working at your desk, and here you're getting a twofer in terms of muscular activation, where your muscles are having to work not only to hold you up in an unsupported position, but also to constantly stabilize you while you're sitting on that unstable surface. And the final option for driving up muscular activation is to sit on a kneeling chair with a rocker bottom that allows you to tilt yourself forward, which forces an intense activation of the postural muscles that run right along the sides of your spine. The third and final strategy is to make the leap to a kneeling chair. Now, not only will this significantly increase muscular activity while you're sitting, wrapping nicely into strategy number 2, but of all the sitting options that are currently available, a kneeling chair is going to get you into a position that most closely approximates the position that you're in while you're standing. And if our goal here is to reduce the harmful effects of sitting, the best thing to do is to get you as far away from that position as possible, even while you're doing it. In 2018, a group of researchers did a really interesting study to determine the effects that different sitting positions have on the shape of the lumbar spine. The first thing that these researchers did was establish a baseline by taking a bunch of people and x-raying them from the side to measure the average amount of curve across the lower back while it's in a neutral position. And for this group of people, that was found to be 49 degrees. They then had these people sit in 3 different positions. The first was a soft stool with no back support. The second was a firm chair with back support. And the final option was a kneeling chair. And they re-x-rayed them in each of those 3 positions. And here's what they found. When people sat on the stool, they lost nearly 70% of the resting curve in their lower back, dropping the amount of curvature in the lumbar spine to just 16 degrees. When people moved over to that hard chair with back support, the amount of curvature in the lumbar spine increased to 28 degrees, but this was still over a 40% reduction in the resting curve in the lower back. The best option by far was the kneeling chair, which increased the lumbar curve to 34 degrees, just a 30% reduction from that standing position. So, as you can see, if you want to minimize the damaging effects of sitting, the best thing that you can possibly do is to use a sitting position that most closely approximates the position that you're in when you're standing. A lot of people ask me which kneeling chair they should get, and full disclosure here, I have not tried all of the options that are available on the market, but I've been very happy with my purchase of the Verrier Balance chair. This company, Verrier, has been making kneeling chairs for decades. They are Scandinavian. It's all real wood. There's no harsh glues or chemicals and bad smells that you'll find with a lot of the knockoffs from this chair. And I love this, what they call a backrest. It's not really a backrest for me. It's more of like a place finder that helps me find my optimal position when I go into that forward rocking position. And it's held up fantastic. I've had it now for about 3 years and haven't had any problems with it. So I'll put links for this chair in the description down below. I really hope that you enjoyed this video. Make sure to hit that thumbs up button before you head out of here, and I'll see you next time.